One random Friday night during my senior year of high school, me and 3 of my friends decided to explore this abandoned hospital at the edge of town. Everyone, even the adults, said that it was haunted. We were the adventure-seeking type of friends, so of course, we had to go check it out. We pulled up in my Jeep at 1 in the morning. We figured after midnight would be the best time to explore it. Crazy, I know. The hospital had been abandoned for over 50 years, and it was definitely creepy looking. It had an aura about it that would freak most people out. In fact, 2 of our friends who came with me said that they were going to wait in my Jeep and not even come in. This kind of bummed me out, but I just said okay, no biggie. So my other friend and I go into the hospital and are walking down the halls, going room by room. It's completely dark in the hospital, except for the flashlights that we brought. There was nothing in any of the downstairs rooms, completely empty. What was really creepy was all the writing on the walls. It seemed to be written in some other language. We finally get to the top floor of the hospital. It's nothing but one long hallway with a single door at the end of it. We get to the door and try to open it, but it's bolted shut. We both try with all our might to push it open, but it would not budge. We stick our flashlight into the keyhole and try to peer into the room. All we could see was more of that crazy writing on all of the walls. We decided we've seen enough of this hospital and begin to make our way back to the stairs. When we got to the stairwell, that's when we heard the door creak open. It was still pitch black, so we both shined our lights down the hall at the door. We see a naked man walk out of the room. He's all white. I don't mean like skin color white, but like someone painted him with white paint, and he had a red smile drawn across his whole face. My friend and I took a step back, not knowing exactly what was going on, when the man started sprinting at us. We booked it down the stairs and out of the hospital to my Jeep where my 2 other friends were still waiting. I put the keys into the ignition and sped off. We all looked out my Jeep window and see the man running out of the hospital doors, still trying to chase us. I didn't stop driving until we were safely home. My friends and I still went on crazy adventures, but never to abandoned hospitals anymore, especially after midnight. This story happened when I was 9. My parents never let me have a TV in my room. That meant whenever I wanted to watch a movie or a TV show, I had to watch it in our living room. It was annoying, but parents, you know. Well, one night, I fell asleep in our living room watching Gremlins, when I woke up with a sensation that someone was watching me. I looked at the clock on our coffee table, and it was 1 in the morning. I don't know how to describe it, other than it felt like eyes were on me. I walked around my living room and looked out all our windows, but I did not see anybody. I figured I was just creeped out from Gremlins and decided to go to bed. I got under my covers and shut my eyes, when again, I got that same feeling that I was being watched. My room was empty. I checked my closet and all the dark corners, but found nothing. I made my way over to my bedroom window and looked out. My window faces our backyard, which has a lot of trees in it. I'm scanning the trees when I see it. Sitting in the tree closest to my window was a man. He had his hood up. His face was too dark for me to see, but I knew he was staring directly at me. He then put his pointer finger to his lips, like he was shushing me. That's when I screamed bloody murder. My parents came sprinting in moments later, but by then, the man was gone from the tree. I told them what I had seen, and they believed me. My mom held me tightly, while my dad called the police. When they arrived, they searched the house and the yard for any signs of a break-in or disturbance. They found branches broken and at odd angles on the tree closest to my window, which indicated that someone had recently climbed it and had indeed been up in the tree. Whoever it was never caught, and I still have nightmares about that night to this day. About 3 years ago, I was driving home from my nephew's first birthday party. It was a 2-hour drive back, and I had work the next morning, so I did not want to spend the night there. The drive back was through long roads in between dense woods and forests. I had been driving for over an hour when I started getting very tired. It was getting to the point where my eyelids were heavy and my head was dipping. I chugged whatever coffee I had left in my thermal, but that didn't help. I was getting nervous because I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it home without crashing into a tree, and my GPS was telling me the closest hotel was about a half an hour away. So I decided to pull over to the side of the road near some bushes and trees. I know that this was a very questionable thing to do, but I was just too exhausted. I tried to hide my car the best I could so I would not be found or disturbed, and I hadn't seen a car for miles, so I figured that I would be good. I put my seat back, I made sure all my doors were locked, and I checked the time on my phone. It was 1:30 in the morning. I wore my jacket as a blanket and went right to sleep. Sometime later, I was awoken by a scratching sound. It was 2 a.m. at this point. The sound went away after a few seconds. I remember thinking that I should be afraid and check out the noise, but I was still extremely tired and not thinking right. So instead of looking around, I just went back to sleep, brushing it off as an animal or something. I woke up again at 2:45 a.m. to that same scratching sound on my car door. Now I'm not as sleepy, and I start to become very nervous, because an animal would have left this area by now. It's pitch black outside, but I start looking around, trying to see what is making that noise. I looked into my rearview mirror and saw a large figure darting into the forest. I am fully awake at this point. I turned on my car and pulled back out onto the road, wanting to distance myself from whatever that was. I had only driven 30 yards and stopped at a stop sign. I was sitting at the stop sign, processing what happened, when in my rearview mirror, I see a man wearing a white rabbit mask sprinting at my car. I hear him shouting to come back here while he's waving around a machete frantically. I noped the hell out of there and sped off. I did not stop until I finally made it back home about an hour later. Moral of the story: never sleep on the side of the road, especially after midnight.